Well, another month has passed and two new clocks have appeared in my collection. Here's the first one that I got. Although it might not look like much, this is in fact an Atlanta desk clock with a Hermle 1977 motor strike and wind movement. And that's the main thing that attracted me to this clock. It strikes on a pair of small bells with bim bam striking. This thing is so stiff. I bought this clock a few weeks ago and I'm glad I did, because these motor rewound and strike movements are rather uncommon. And this is also the first clock in my collection to have this golden cage design. After I got this clock I had to do quite some work on it, mainly because the case was falling apart and those side panels were misplaced. The door wasn't opening and this front plastic panel was not sliding out because it was stuck between these decorations that you see on the pillars. Also, at some point in the past, somebody has cut the end of this pendulum rod, so I couldn't really regulate the clock using the knot, because when it was at the lowest level possible, the clock was still going incredibly fast. And now I remade the linkage between the pendulum rod and bob, so now it's friction fit, and you can slide the bob up and down. And here's the movement inside the Atlanta desk clock, the 1977 Hermle 541-071. It uses a deadbeat escapement, and there is the motor that rewinds the time train every half an hour and actuates the striking train. Here's the movement viewed from the side. This is the time side. And right there in the center is the mainspring barrel. It's extremely small, and you might be able to see that it has a tiny steel pin on it. And that thing pushes against the center wheel and provides power to the clock. That's the escapement. The mainspring barrel also has a tiny wheel on the back of it that you might be able to see. And that wheel is connected with some other gears in there on top. And right now in the center of the screen, that brass cylinder is the star wheel that lifts the hammers up and down. That thing is also connected with the gears. And it is then linked to that plastic wheel that you might see. And the plastic wheel is connected with the worm gear on the motor. So when the clock strikes and the motor activates, all of these gears start turning, and that's how the mainspring is being wound. I'll show you. I hope you understood how this clock works. And this is also the strike side of the movement. That's the star wheel that I was talking about. Underneath the stand of the movement are these two wires that connect the motor with the battery, and these wires go through these pillars and eventually get underneath the case where the battery cage is located. The clock runs on a C-size battery. And also something that I forgot to mention, when this front panel is on, the bells can't really be heard. So I usually keep this clock without the front panel on, but it's better to have it on the case or slide it in, because the dust can't really get in there that way. So yeah, now I'm going to put some clips that I took while I was working on this clock. The Atlanta desk clock has been fully disassembled. And here's the movement. I've taken the motor out because I need to disassemble this thing too and clean all the excess oil inside of this movement. There's the tiny mainspring barrel and the striking train. That's the motor, and those are the two bells. The linkage between the motor and the battery is very smart. The battery cage is attached to these rods right there that go up underneath the movement, and from there they are connected with the wires from the motor. So you can easily disassemble this and put it back together. The whole movement has been disassembled to bits. And just take a look in here. Yeah, that's quite a lot of oil. And it has a very interesting color, I would say, that green in there. And you can see also on this front plate that there's a lot of oil. There's also a ton of oil on this lever. I mean, look at it. Yeah, you can't see it very well, but there's a lot of oil on this side. So, yeah, and don't worry, I'm going to store these wheels in another one of these dishes, I would say, I don't know. Well, another day has passed, and here's the movement back together again. I spent quite a lot of time working on it last night because I couldn't figure out why the striking train wasn't working. I eventually discovered that the blue wire that you see in there was not connected with the battery correctly, so I got that sorted out. There are 16 days left until my exam comes, and then I'll finally be free, so to say. I could have made a video about this clock much earlier, but I didn't really feel like it. I've been kinda heartbroken this week and last week as well, so I didn't really have motivation to do anything, and I'm still a bit upset, but yeah, things will eventually sort out. So yeah, that's it for today. See you next time.